Shailene Walker is suing her ex-boyfriend, Jeremy Mitchell, for the return or value of her Pomeranian, Stanley. Jeremy is countersuing for stolen furniture.
Mr. Mitchell, is this gentleman a witness for you, or is he just here for support?
He's a witness.
Okay. Miss Walker, you and Mr. Mitchell were in a relationship. While you were in a relationship, you adopted this dog.
Correct.
And you were in a relationship for a long time, almost a decade. The dog was adopted when?
In 2015 on June 7th.
And where were you and Mr. Mitchell living at that
We were
time?
living in an apartment together.
And how long did you live in the apartment together?
1 year.
Did you move into another apartment together?
We moved into his mom's house after. We had gotten evicted.
Just a second. So you got evicted, then you lived with his mother. So how long did you live with his mother?
It wasn't his mother, it was his mother's house. It was a rental.
How long did you live there?
I lived there for approximately 6 months. He continued to live there after I moved out.
When did you give me the month and year that you moved out?
That would be December of 2016. I moved out of that house and moved in with my mother and took Stanley with me.
Since December of 2016, have you and Mr. Mitchell ever cohabited together?
No.
Now, when you moved out in December of 2016, you said you took the dog with you.
Yes.
The dog is right now in the hands of Mr. Mitchell. Where was the dog? Today is the 26th of September. Where was the dog on the 26th of August of this year?
With Mr. Mitchell.
Where was the dog on the 26th of June of this year?
With Mr. Mitchell.
Where was the dog on the 26th of April of this year?
With Mr. Mitchell.
Where was the dog February 26th of this year?
At that time, we were sharing Stanley.
When you say sharing, how much time did the dog spend with you, and how much time in February of 2019 did the dog spend with you?
I took Stanley on Friday, returned him on Monday night.
That would be every weekend.
Yes.
And what about in December of 2018?
With Mr. Actually, I believe he was with me.
Where was the dog in December of 2018? That's easy. That's holiday time.
Right.
Christmas.
He spent Christmas with me and my family in Los Angeles.
Mr. Mitchell, where did the dog spend December of 2018?
With me.
When was the dog with Miss Walker on a full-time basis?
He was never with Miss Walker on a full-time basis.
Now, after December of 2016, when the two of you separated, when was the last time the dog, what's the dog's name?
Stanley.
When was Stanley with Miss Walker on a full-time basis?
He was never with Miss Walker on a full-time basis.
Miss Walker, I'll ask you that question. Since December 2016, when was Stanley with you on a full-time basis?
From 2016 until 2018.
When in 2018?
December. Or actually November. I went into training in November. So that was the last time I had Stanley on a full-time basis when I lived with my mother.
So that would be November of
17.
2017.
Yes.
Since November of 2017, the dog has not been in your full-time care.
Correct.
The dog stays with Mr. Mitchell. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Their dog reached the fence and bit our dog on the nose.
If you see a little dog halfway through the fence, you pull your dog back.
Pit bull owners who aren't very convincing.
Their dog didn't get out of the fence.
Their dog did get out of the fence halfway through.
I'm not visualizing what you're telling me.
But pictures speak louder than words.
What the defendants have here is compelling evidence to me.
This is Judge Judy.
Ms. Salikian, is your claim that the defendant's dog, the Quantz's dog, bit your dog, and your dog was in your fenced-in area, that their dog somehow got its nose in between, its snout in between the fence posts, and somehow got a hold of your dog suffered injury. Mr. Fox, raise your hand. This is Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox, this is the nature of his participation in this case. You're the neighbor.
Yes.
And I don't know what the nature of the lawsuit is against Mr. Fox,
I will explain, if I may.
because he doesn't have a dog. He's a neighbor of theirs. So first tell me, what kind of a dog do you have?
He's a multi-poo,
How big?
16 pounds.
And what kind of a dog do you have? Who's speaking for you?
I'll do it.
What kind of a
It's a mix. It's a boxer and pit bull mixed together.
And you live in the same community.
Yes, we do.
It's a gated community.
Right.
How long have you had the dog?
5 years.
And how long have you had your dog?
Pretty much since birth, since he was 6 months, and he's about 7 years old right now.
Do you have a picture of the fence?
I do,
I'd like
Your
to
Honor.
take a look at the picture of the fence. On what date did this happen?
This happened August 14th, 2018, Your Honor.
That's a pretty serious fence. That's a metal fence, and it's clearly designed to contain a dog that is about the size of your dog. Can't get underneath. Too big, 16 pounds. I know what that is. I have one that's almost that, a dog that's almost that size. How much does your dog weigh?
About 65 to 70 pounds.
Now, on the 14th of August, you let the dog out in order to relieve itself, and it was running up this mountain.
Correct.
Or this little hill.
Correct.
And you were walking your dog along a public street.
Right.
Now, I'm going to ask you some serious questions, and I have to get the correct answers from you, sir, because I've read your complaint and I have common sense. Were you walking your dog with a leash or without?
With the leash. We always walk with a leash.
And I assume that as you're walking with your dog on a leash, from what you say in your answer, you saw the plaintiff's dog running up the hill.
No.
When was the first time you saw any interaction between the plaintiff's dog and your dog?
When their dog reached the fence and bit our dog on the nose.
Okay.
And I tried to separate the dogs that
just a
time.
second. I don't quite understand. You're walking your dog on a leash,
Correct.
and your dog stops to put its nose in a fence line, because that's the only way, because their dog didn't get out of the fence. Their dog didn't get out of the fence.
Their dog did get out of the fence, halfway through the body.
What you're telling me is the head of the dog, usually the largest part of the dog, got through, it was stopped at the shoulders. Is that what you're telling me? And your dog went up to it. You see, she doesn't know what happened there, and you may or may not know what happened there. I'm a blank slate.
Okay. I was there, right over the dog, and what happened, and their dog at the waist was outside the gate,
So their
With-
dog,
outside the
was-
fence,
just a-
with their mouth on top of our dog's snoot.
just a-
I
well,
tried to
what was your-
separate them.
If you're walking your dog, I'm walking my dog. I mean, were you listening to a radio? Were you talking to your wife? So you see, if you see a little dog that's halfway through the fence and you have your dog on a leash, you pull your dog back.
You didn't see it.
Don't speak. You pull your dog back. If your dog is on a leash, but you see it. You see a little dog with its head through a fence, and you see your dog, which is a much larger dog, approaching that dog, which you have to have seen. And if your dog is on a leash, you pull it back.
If you can react that fast. I mean, it happens very
Just a s-
quickly.
No, you don't have to react that fast, because this all isn't done quietly. You have a yapper, so you have to hear this dog, if what you're saying is true. Yapping is it's trying to get through the fence and get to your pit bull / boxer mix. Trying to, then you hear yapping, yap, 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 and maybe you hear your dog barking. So this doesn't happen fast. You have a reaction time.
On the contrary, it happened almost immediately. I was there.
Okay, you were there, I'm not visualizing it.
I
You
was
were
there.
there, I'm not visualizing what you're telling me.
Okay.
As the person who's walking a 60-pound dog on a leash and sees a much smaller dog that's a sixth the size with its head halfway through a fence, doesn't grab their dog and pull it back because it hears a little dog yapping. You hear a little dog yapping as it's running up the fence and trying to get through the gate. And you're doing nothing but standing there and going, duh.
Well,
The dog wasn't making any sound. The dog
So
was
what-
laying in wait for our dog. It was just sitting there. We walk up with our dog. That dog comes out before we can even see it and bites our dog in the nose.
it's really fast.
We didn't see that dog. That dog was not making any noise.
Okay. So now, after this happens, you hear her screaming, and she asks for your name, which she doesn't get. And then she puts her dog. I'm speeding this up a little bit. She gets the dog, gets a towel, because the dog is injured. It lost a couple of toes, according to you, which we'll get to in a second, because if it lost a couple of toes, it had to be partially outside the fence. Do you understand? I'd like to see a picture of your dog.
Sure.
Does you want both of these?
I'd like to see a picture
Give
of
you
your
the
dog.
whole set.
And I'd like,
There you go. And we went through this with the insurance company, and they agreed with, and so there was no action here.
No.
It was denied.
I don't care.
Okay.
You think that they're smarter than I am?
No, I'm just saying
Good.
that.
What they have here, just so that you know, what the defendants have here, which is compelling evidence to me, is they have a tape measure, and they have measured across the top of their dog's head, which measures probably, because they don't measure it straight across, which they should have. If they measure it straight across, it is about 5 or 5.5 inches across the dog's head, which would
Yeah,
have
it's
to
just
have
a
gotten...
little. It's a little over 6 inches.
Don't speak to me. I didn't ask you anything. The distance between the slats of your fence are only 4 inches. So what the defendants are suggesting to me is that their dog could not have put its head inside your fence in order to bite your dog. Do you understand? That's compelling evidence.
May I speak, Your Honor?
Absolutely.
I understand. However, his nose is a lot skinnier. It's
Doesn't matter. He may be able to put his nose in, but in order to do the damage that you are suggesting to the paws of your dog, he had to have put his whole head in so that he could open his mouth. You don't put your nose in. You can't open your mouth.
right. So there is a little bit of a space.
Listen to me. You don't know because you didn't see it.
No, I did not.
I didn't see it.
No.
This is compelling evidence that your dog actually could have gotten its head through. And other than your statement, which is their dog was off leash, they say their dog was on a leash. And it looks as if these are people that keep their dog on a leash because it's got 2 heavy-duty collars on it. So it doesn't sound to me as if they would have been walking the dog without a leash. Now, do you have a photograph for me of the dog's nose you said was bitten?
No,
You have a
I don't.
photo.
No, I don't. I just took the dog back and washed it off and put
Okay, so it was
on
nothing.
Yeah, it was minor.
It was nothing. Okay, now, you took your dog to the vet. You want the vet bills. I'm not convinced that it's their fault.
Your Honor, it's absolutely their fault. May I present you some photos of
Absolutely.
Royce trying to come through the fence? May I?
Well, this picture doesn't show me anything. This
No, I
picture
think it's
doesn't
the
show me
last
anything.
one.
This picture doesn't show me anything. This picture doesn't show me anything.
That one.
This, I asked you to show me a picture of the fence. There was no mesh in between the fence when you showed me the initial picture of the fence.
I'm sorry, you're talking about the chicken wire that you see, or?
Oh, you mean there's chicken wire underneath?
Yes, I put that in after the fact because now I was
Oh,
afraid.
well, so
it wasn't there. I have to be honest
it
about
wasn't.
that.
It wasn't
was
there.
not
So
there,
these
no.
pictures I don't need. The dog is very cute. The blood, I know what blood looks like. None of that is particularly germane, and neither is this because the chicken wire wasn't up with this. I'm still not convinced that it's their fault.
I would just like to mention that my dog, as you can see, is a very white dog, and the backyard is completely green. and his collar has things hanging from it where it definitely makes a sound. And he's a barker. He's a small dog, but he barks a lot. He likes people. He barks. So as he was going up that little hill, he was barking, and you would hear that sound. There is no way that they would not see him as white as he is.
Just a second. And what?
He was not on a leash, Your Honor.
I don't know that. Neither do you.
Well, I did not see a leash, and in fact, if I may mention my son, who heard the screams of the
But
dog,
don't tell me what your son heard.
he looked from the window.
Are you telling me that there was another witness you want me to hear?
Please.
I'm absolutely
My son.
prepared to hear the other witness.
Thank you.
Tell me your name.
Anthony?
Okay, sir. You were upstairs at your window. Did you see this incident?
No, I was asleep at the time.
So I want you to tell me you heard what that woke you up.
I heard a yelp, so I went immediately to my mom's window, and I saw clearly our dog caught by their dog, and them just saying, stop, stop, not really doing much, just saying stop, and then
You just went like this. They're saying
Yeah.
stop. That's your motion. What were they saying stop, stop
I was
with?
actually doing it like this. For me, it looked like he was pulling the dog back as hard as he could from the collar.
I'm not satisfied that they're responsible for the injuries to your dog. Based upon what you showed me, which
Yeah.
is compelling evidence, the head of your dog could not have gotten through
That's true.
those two posts,
Right.
which were part of the fence. Her dog could have gotten through those posts, which is why, after the fact, she put up chicken wire.
Correct.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And I'm not convinced by anything that I've heard here that your dog was off leash. Okay? What you should have done right away, even though she was screaming and whatever it was, is say, "This is my name."
I tried to do that, and the lady at the bottom of the hill was screaming. I couldn't talk to her. But she
Mr.
tried to
Fox, I
get me
got
off on the road.
Mr. Fox, you have a counterclaim for harassment.
Yes.
Okay. And your counterclaim for harassment is that they thought that the owners of the dog lived at your address.
That's correct.
In fact, they live next door to you.
That's correct.
The first time that you were sent a letter or someone came to your house, did you say, "This is the name of the people. The name of the people is Quants. They live next door"?
No.
No. Well, you should have. Then you wouldn't have been harassed.
We didn't know that it was their dog.
No, just a second. That's not the answer. Sit. Do you have a dog?
No.
So say, "I don't have a dog. My neighbors have a dog. Their name is Quants." You chose not to do that. So if they kept coming back to you because that's the address they have, that's your fault. And if you didn't tell that to the police, that also is your fault. You should have said, "Do I have a dog that looks like a mix between a boxer and a pit bull?" "No." "Gee, but my neighbors do. This is their name." That's what you should have done. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
We did.
We're
No.
done here.
Funds are excused. You may step.
You made a couple of payments. Yes, ma'am. That were late.
Revved up after a motorcycle sale.
You didn't pay her.
I told her I didn't have a job. She didn't say she wanted the money. She just said she wanted her bike back.
But will her anger backfire?
You have to pay her what you owed her.
What she's saying I owe her is not the truth.
I want you to stop being argumentative with me.
This is Judge Judy.
Miss Power, the defendant made a contract with you to purchase your motorcycle.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when did the defendant make that contract with you?
September 3rd, 2019.
Did you know the defendant before?
Before the contract, yes, I had met her several months before through my witness and former tenant.
Did you do a contract in writing?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it? Is this the contract you signed?
Yes, ma'am.
So now we have a valid contract. The purchase price was $3,600. You were going to pay a minimum of $100 per week until the full price was paid on May 15th. The plaintiff was holding as collateral your 2003 Mustang.
Yes, ma'am.
Which you still have.
Correct, Your Honor.
You breached the contract.
We both breached the contract.
No, you breached the contract.
How so, Your Honor?
According to what you wrote in your answer, you lost your job. You made a couple of payments.
Yes, ma'am.
That were late.
You made a couple of payments,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you lost your job. And you told her you lost your job.
Yes, ma'am.
But you continued to use the motorcycle for another 2 weeks, according to you, without making any payments. She says when you finally returned the motorcycle to her, it was damaged. But you breached the contract by not making your weekly payments. That's a breach of the contract.
Okay.
And it was 4 weeks.
It may be. Even if whether it was 2 weeks or 4 weeks, it doesn't make any difference. But according to you, you said to her, I'm going to return the motorcycle to you because I lost my job. That's what you wrote in your answer.
Your Honor, I actually tried to communicate with her and say, I'm trying to get a job because she messaged me and said she didn't want her bike back. And so I said, okay, just work with me. We know each other. That's exactly why I told her I went through her.
You breached the contract. She doesn't have to work with you.
No, she doesn't have to. She said she would. That's the whole point. She didn't put in the contract. If you don't want the bike back and you want the money, I understand that. I'm trying to get you your money. I'm trying to get a job so I can get you your money. That's exactly why we went through it this way.
Did you ever get
No,
a job?
sure. Would you do me a favor? If you do that again, I'm just going to dismiss your case.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, so far you said yes, ma'am, twice.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to look at her as if she were a Ford Motor dealer, not a private person. You entered into a written contract with her. The written contract with her said that there were said $3,600, a minimum of $100 a week. You took possession of the motorcycle on what date?
The 3rd.
3rd of
October 2019, ma'am.
when was your next payment?
I made a $100 payment 2 days later.
So you made a payment on October 5th.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your next payment?
Would have been on the 5th is when I made my next payment.
On the 5th of what?
September. Or, I'm sorry, on the 13th of September.
Well, you just told me you made a payment on
2 days later,
October
so that
5th.
would have been on the 5th. I made a payment, and then the next week on the 13th, I made a payment again.
Of what month?
September.
And when was the next payment?
Would have been the next week, which is a payment that I missed. That's when I lost my
Just
job.
a second. So you made 2 payments on the motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
The last payment being September 13th.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you return the motorcycle to the plaintiff?
The 13th of October.
So you have the motorcycle for a month without paying for it.
Yeah, part of those weeks was because I wasn't gonna just bring the motorcycle and be left without my Mustang if she didn't give it back. So I had to wait for a convenient time for her to be home and me to haul that bike over there. Yes, I had it for a month without making payments, Your Honor.
That's absolutely right.
All right.
So you breached the contract. She's the Ford Motor Company. She would have repossessed the motorcycle.
I wouldn't have brought it back to her like I did either, which is what she got, which my Mustang is used as collateral and she has her property. It's collateral. You got your property back. Nowhere else you don't get to come get your bike and my property that I put up for collateral. And I returned the bike on my own.
Just a second. When you returned the bike, did you return the bike and the $400?
It wasn't $400, Your Honor.
You owed her $400. You had possession of the bike for a month?
This is why I'm saying we had in communication in between those text messages.
Show me.
On my phone?
Yeah, show me that she said it was okay for you.
She said she was working with me. It's exactly what she said, and it's flip-flopped every day, back and forth, whether you're going to work with me or not.
Just a second. You had her property for a month, and you didn't pay her. And in order to get your car back, you had to pay her what you owed her.
Well, what she's saying I owe her is not the truth. And I did attempt to pay her after that so I can get my property back.
Just a second. When you brought the motorcycle back, did you have the money with you? We're not getting to the damage yet. I will hear that. When you brought the motorcycle back and said, I can't afford it anymore. Here is the $400 because it's 4 weeks from September 13th to October 13th. Here's the $400 that I owe you on the motorcycle. I would like my collateral back. Or did you just bring the motorcycle?
I brought the motorcycle and then I paid for the toll bill in 1 more week. That's the money I had. Because I didn't have a job, so she got her money. And it would have been 3 weeks of me riding the bike since I had talked to her from this point. I told her I didn't have a job. She didn't say she wanted the money. She just said she wanted her bike back. And I brought her bike back on my own choice. That's all she said she wanted.
You brought the bike back a month late after you stopped
Well, it's
paying for
okay,
it.
because my dang car she was holding on to done deteriorated way past that. So I don't understand how you get your bike back in good condition and then you destroy someone's car and still want money for it. For a bike I returned back, because if it was a dealership, I wouldn't have returned it. No one returns their thing to the dealership. They keep it until they come and repossess it. I don't know how y'all do it over here in Texas, they keep that, all right, until you repossess it. I mean,
May I see a picture of the damage that you allege to the motorcycle?
There's pictures and an estimate to get it repaired. The first set, Your Honor, is the
This is scratch light, is that what that is?
correct, Your Honor.
Can you tell me what this is a picture of?
That's the shot. It was the entire left side of the bike, from the front of the bike to the rear of the bike.
What is this a photograph of?
The clutch part and then the gas tank behind it.
When did you take these photographs?
That was when I bought the bike. That was pre-damage. That was the
No. When did you buy the bike?
April 27th, 2019.
Do you have a photograph on the day that you sold her the bike?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Would you take a look at these photographs, please? Should you show this to the defendant? Is that fair and accurate representation of what the bike looked like when
I
you
actually have
purchased it?
photographs of the bike in my possession as well, if you want to look at those.
I asked you a question.
Yeah, from what I can see on this side, yes, ma'am.
That looks like the way the bike looked when you took possession of it.
From that side, yes, ma'am.
What I'm asking you is, this is what the bike looked like from this side
From that side, yes, ma'am.
when you bought it from her.
Yes, ma'am.
And what you're saying to me is the other side of the bike was different.
Well, if there's damage on the other side, I wouldn't know that. I can't see that in those pictures, is what I'm telling you. I don't know how the other side of the bike looks. From that side of the bike, that side is fine. That's how it looks. Sure, yeah, that's how the bike looked when I got it. I mean, there's two sides of the bike. If one side, she's saying the whole left side is damaged. I mean, that's.
I want you to stop being argumentative with me, which you are. Maybe I'll ask the question a different way. The bike looks perfect on this side. When you purchased it, did the other side of the bike look the same way as this side? That's either a yes or a no.
Yeah, run down, sure. That's how it looked. Because the bike didn't look like that when I got it either. That bike had been sitting there for months. It didn't look like that. It was sitting somewhere and doing God knows what. It did not look that perfect.
When did you buy this bike?
April 27th, 2019.
And how much did you pay for it?
$3,750.
Who did you purchase it from?
Indian Motorsports in Garland, Texas.
And you sold it a short time, relatively short time later. You want to tell me why?
I wasn't riding it, and I rode it around my yard a couple of times, and I didn't know that it's what I wanted to do. She came along about that time and wanted to buy it. She was interested in it, and I said, maybe we can talk about it.
So you bought it for $37. I'm just trying to follow you. You bought it for $37. You sold it to her for $36. She paid you $200,
Right.
which is now brings it down to $34 that she still owes on the bike. You're suing her for $5,000.
Correct.
For what?
It was a lot more than that.
I don't want you to speak.
Pardon me.
You breached the contract. And if you're not going to let me at least try to make a fair resolution. I'm going to make a decision that you breach the contract, your breach, car is collateral, then you forfeit. That's it. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You better have a good explanation.
The past due payments were $400.
What's the difference? I don't understand. Right now, she owes you $3,400 on the bike. That's what she owes you.
Okay.
Okay?
And then I was charging the gear that went along with the bike was a brand new helmet.
Forget it.
Okay.
That should have been in the contract. You had a written contract.
The excessive mileage, it had 2,900 miles on it. She brought it back
That's also,
4,300.
that's also not in the written contract.
Okay.
So at best, she owes you $3,400. Where is her car?
In my driveway. To the side of my driveway.
Exposed to all the conditions. I just want to lay that out there right next to a
That's where you
carport.
parked it.
That's where she parked it. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm sorry. My bad, girl.
Open. Windows open.
The windows are up.
Pictures.
Out. Out. That way.
Which way?
I have a picture of the car that I took before I came here.
I don't care.
The windows are up.
I don't show it to her. I said I don't care. Especially for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,400. Do you understand?
Yeah, we do know there's a countersuit for this, though, right?
Do you understand? You're going to get your car back.
But that's why I found the countersuit.
You're going to get your car back. You're going to get your car back.
There's so much damage done, Your Honor. I don't. That's why I put in a countersuit.
I'm going to give you your car back.
Your Honor, can I ask one more
What?
thing? Can I charge lot rent for where her car's been sitting in
For the
my
car she wouldn't
possession?
give me, she wouldn't let me take possession of it.
Now, fine. We're going to do this. Do you want the car or the bike?
The bike.
You want the bike. You have the bike. She's coming to get money. You have the bike. She's coming to pick up her car. She's coming to pick up her car within 5 days. Do you understand?
I want the
You
car
can't-
too.
You can't have it.
What about the
You can't.
damages?
You can't have it. You got your bike back. You get your car back. We're done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Please excuse me.
感觉真的很辛苦，很辛苦。大家如果来白沙瓦的话，一定要来感受一下。
这个好像也是一家地下兵工厂。
These are danger man. Assalamualaikum. OK. Assalamualaikum.
咱现在是走下了这个真是地下兵工厂，朋友们。这些就是枪管的钢，大家看一下，各种兵工厂啊，你看。哇哦，马夏拉。好吗？卢比，来，这么便宜啊！一把来回枪就15000卢比啊，说人民币的话就300多块钱。这个就是他们的品牌啊，叫 KPA 腹肌，这是老板的名字，就叫腹肌。嗯，这就是老板啊。其实他们这很多老板都是有军方背景的，因为一般人也干不了这事儿。再来看一下，这里面全是枪，哇！这是 M4啊，兄弟们，太喜欢了，我的妈！这边就不是手托的了，这个更厉害了。萨拉马雷，哇哦！咱们来看一下，萨拉马雷。哦 ，M4A1，这个是正在加工 M4A1 的，正在转啊。看这个外形，大家应该能看出来北魏吧？这上面的话，就是他们一个比较涉及机密的东西了，就不大能看。你像这步枪的话，它的要求就会比较细一些，虽然很多都是用到数控了，看起来跟个玩具枪一样，对吧？但它就是真枪啊！哇哦 ，OK，beautiful。
NSP normal safety precaution.
OK， 这个是罗马尼亚产的一把，我不知道什么款式啊。
This is my favorite pistol.
Very beautiful. Mashallah. 1 month, you can make how many guns?
1500 pistol.
1500. 一个月呢大概生产1500支手枪啊，就是纯手工的手搓的手枪，每天呢大概能玩50支啊。这是老板的名片啊，他给我签名了啊，老板。谢谢。打叉是什么意思？朋友们，你们也知道吗？这老板给我打了个叉，不知道啥意思。Thank you, brother. Thank you. 拜拜。